grade 8. Right. Guys, I hope you did your home activity. Please take out your books, pens, and your calculator. Please have it with you so that we can proceed while you have everything you need. Okay, it's 10 o'clock. So we'll be starting with yesterday's home activity. I hope you do have the questions because you did your home activity, right? Okay, so now we did number 1 and number 2 as our example yesterday. You remember? Right. So we'll start from number 3. So number 3, we have a mixed fraction, and we also have a whole number, a natural numbers. So let's do this then. Let's convert or write our mixed fractions as proper fractions or improper fractions as our improper fractions. So let's do it together. We'll have 5 multiplied by 2 plus 1, and that will be 11. And you remember of equals to what? Of is the same as multiplication. We will have 11 over 5 multiply by 2, 1, 4 of 1. Okay, so in terms of multiplication, guys, I told you that we don't need our lowest common multiple. When we are doing our multiplication, in most cases, we need to know our highest common factor instead of lowest common multiple, right? Okay, so when we're doing our multiplication, we just multiply. We don't want any lowest common something of anything, right? So we'll do it the normal way, the way you are used to doing it. So we'll obviously have our 11 multiply by 214, and that will give us 2,354. And then we'll also multiply our denominators. When we do multiply, we multiply our denominators by denominator, numerator by numerator. So 5 multiplied by 1 equals to 5. And then we need to simplify this fraction right here because it's our improper fraction. We need to simplify it to make it our mixed fraction, and our mixed fraction is a combination of whole numbers, natural numbers, and our proper fraction, right? Okay, so now let's break it down. Let's make it our mixed fraction. So when we do make it our mixed fraction, you know what we did yesterday? We'll have our 23 divide 2354 divide by 5, which is 470. So how many times do 5 go into 2,354? How many times that 5 goes into 2,354? How many times? It goes 470 times. So we'll have your 470 times. There you go. And then we'll have our 470 multiply by 5. We will get 2,350. And then we'll also have our to check the difference. Our answer will be 4. So now let's do our mixed fraction. So when we do our mixed fraction, we must know how many times does 5 goes into 2,354. So it goes how many times? It goes 470 times, right? And what is the remaining number after that? The remaining number after our 5 going into 2,355, the remaining number will be 4. And our 5 as our denominator stays the same, right? So this will be our mixed fraction, and after multiplying, we will get this fraction, right? I hope we understand. But in this case, guys, when we do have this kind of fraction right here, you need to find your highest common factor. The number that goes into 2,354 and doesn't leave anything, and that very same number must go into 5 and doesn't leave anything. So our highest common factor, in this case, there's no highest common factor. So this will be our final answer, but we just need to simplify it. Write our answer as our simplest form, because you remember there in your exercise 3, they said multiply the following and leave your answer in the simplest form. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. Multiplication, don't forget, when you are dealing with multiplication, highest common factor, and when you are dealing with addition and subtraction, it's what? Lowest common multiple. Yes. So let's move on to the next one. So the next one, we had this kind of fraction. We had 3 over 20 multiply by 4 over 5. So I told you we don't want any lowest common multiple. We just multiply our fractions the way we know it, right? So we'll say 3 multiplied by 4, which will give us 12. And then we'll also say 20 multiplied by 5, it will give us what? It will give us 100. So guys, let me ask you a question. What is the highest common factor, the highest number that goes into 12 and 100 and doesn't leave anything? The highest number. And the highest number must be below 12, because our lowest number here is 12. So the highest number must be below 12. So what is the highest common fraction? 4, 12, and 100. Okay, so our highest common fraction for 12 and 100 is 4, right? It's equals to 4. So what we need to do now, we will say 12 divided by 4, and then 100 divided by 4. And our answer will be 3 out of 25th. So can you see that why our highest common fraction is important? And our answer is 3 over 25. Can we simplify 3 over 25? It's already our proper fraction. Can we simplify this fraction right here? In the comment, you can just comment, can we simplify this fraction? Can we simplify 3 of 25th? Can we do that before we move on to the next question? No, we can't simplify it. Yes, we cannot simplify our fractions. Guys, I'm not sad. I'm not sad. Maybe my voice sounds different today, but I am not sad. I am fine. I'm still healthy, guys. Thank you so much for your concern. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. So the next question, we have three fractions. In this case, we have 1 over 5 multiplied by our mixed fraction, which is 4. And then we also have 1 of third, right? So you remember that we must write our mixed fractions to our improper fractions. You remember that we can't just calculate using mixed fractions. We must write our mixed fractions as our proper fractions, right? So let's convert our mixed fractions to proper fractions. So this one right here is already fine, 1 over 5. So with this one, obviously we'll have 2 multiplied by 4 plus 1, and that will give us 9, because 2 multiplied by 4 equals to 8 plus 1 equals to 9. So we'll have 9 over 2. You remember our denominators do not change, right? Okay, and then we also have 3 multiplied by 1 plus 1. So we'll have 3 multiplied by 1, which is 1, and then 3 multiply 3 plus 1 equals to 4. So 3 multiplied by 1 equals to 3 plus 1 equals to 4. So we'll have our 4 over 3. Our denominators do not change. So here's our new fractions in this case. But then in this case, we have 3 fractions. We do not have 2 fractions, right? So let's simplify it before we can actually calculate and get our final answer. So we can see that 3 and 9, you remember yesterday we were simplifying opposite opposite numbers. So in this case, 9 is opposite to 3. So how many so we will use highest common factor. Highest common factor for 3 and 9. What is the highest common factor for 3 and 9? And the highest common factor for 3 and 9, it must be below 3, because our lowest number is 3. So our highest common factor for 3 and 9 is 3, correct? So since our highest common factor is 3, and then here we'll say 3 divided by 3, and that will give us 1. And here we'll say 9 divided by 3, it will give us 3, right? It will give us 3. So let's write our new fractions. So we have 1 over 5 as usual, and then now we have 3 over 2 multiply by 4 over 1, because 3 divided by 3 equals to 1. Let's underline here. Okay, so again, guys, you can see that we can also simplify some of the numbers right here. Which one can we simplify? Yes, we can simplify 2 and 4 because they are opposite. You can see that, right? 2 is opposite to 4, and 4 is opposite to 2. So what is the highest common factor for 4 and 2? So the highest common factor for 4 and 2, it must be 2 or below 2, because 2 is our lowest number, right? So 2 divided by 2 is going to give us 1, and then 4 divided by 2 is going to give us 2, right? Okay, so let's write our new fractions again. 1 over 5 multiply by 3 over 1 multiply by 2 over 1. Correct. So now since everything is simplified, then it means we must multiply. So when we do multiply, we will say 1 multiply by 3 multiply by 2. And that will give us how much? 3 multiplied by 2 equals to 6. Yes, correct. And then 5 multiplied by 1 multiplied by 1, it will give us 5. Yes, correct. And then again, can we simplify this? It can't be simplified, but it is an improper fraction. An improper fraction, we can make it a mixed fraction. And a mixed fraction is a combination of a natural number or a whole number and proper fraction. So there by the comments, guys, can you please tell me the answer for this question here? Can you please write a mixed fraction of 6 over 5? What is a mixed fraction for 6 over 5? Our mixed fraction for 6 over 5. How many times does 5 goes into 6? And what is the remaining number after that? Our mixed fractions. One more answer, guys. One more answer. Okay, we have 2 answers. One more answer. Tracy. Okay, Nhlanhla and Lesedi, you guys are correct. So our mixed fraction will be 1 and then 1 over 5. How many times does 5 goes into 6? It goes 1 time. And what is the remaining number after that? So when you take your 5 from a 6, what will remain? The number that will remain is 1. And then we keep our denominator. Our denominator, which is 5. Right. And our final answer will be 1 and then 1 of 5. Right. 1 is our whole number or natural number, and then we'll have 1 over 5. Right. So let's move on to the next question. Okay, I hope you guys understand, but I can see very positive comments here, which is good. Right. So our next question is -31. Guys, I hope you did your home activity because this was our home activity. -10. This is our equation name. And you remember, we must multiply because here we only have how many? 2 fractions. We don't have 3 fractions. We have 2 fractions. So it means that we are multiplying the traditional way, and then we will find our highest common factor. Right. So after finding our highest common factor, then we'll have our final answer. So let's do this then. We'll say -31 multiplied by -10, and then 4 multiplied by 62. So guys, when you multiply a negative by another negative, your answer will be positive, right? So you can also check it there in your calculator just to verify and to check your understanding. In your calculator, just press -31 multiplied by -10 and tell me if you get a negative answer or a positive number. Is your answer negative or positive? Your answer must be positive. If it's negative, then no. So when you multiply a negative number by another negative number, you will get, your answer will be positive, right? that's when you multiply a negative number by a negative number, your answer will be positive. So we will have 310 as our positive number from multiplying negative 31 by negative 10. And then our answer for 4 multiplied by 62, our answer will be 248. So now, guys, before we can simplify it, we must find out first if there is a highest common factor for both these numbers. You remember on our last question, I think it was number 3, we didn't have our highest common factor. Those two numbers didn't have its highest common factor. So we just simplified it and made it our improper, our mixed fractions, remember. But if a number, those two numbers do have a highest common factor, you must find it and then divide it so that you can have your simplified fraction. Right. So what is the highest common factor for 310 and 248? What is your highest common factor for both these numbers? The highest number that goes into 310 and the highest number that goes into the very same number must also go into 248. So what is our highest common factor? HCF. So our highest common factor in this case will be 62. All right. Okay. So we will divide 62 by both numbers. So we'll divide this number right here by 62. And then this one again, which is 248 by 62. And when we say 310 divided by 62, it gives us 5. Guys, and while we're still doing this together now, just work with your calculator, press your calculator there. It's really good, guys, when someone is explaining and you are also doing it yourself. Maths, it's like that. You will have much more understanding. I'm telling you the truth. It works every time. So have your pen and paper, your calculator, and do it yourself. While we are still doing it, also do it yourself. Right? Just write and understand and all that. So 310 divided by 62 will be 5 over, and then we'll have 248 divided by 62. That will give us 4. All right. So guys, can you please if they're in the comments, tell me the mixed fraction for 5 over 4. How many times does 4 goes into 5, and what will be the remaining number after that? And you know that we always keep our denominator. Right. So can you please tell me the mixed fraction for 5 over 4? Let's see. Let's see. All right. Correct. So our mixed fraction will most definitely be 1. And then we'll have 1 over our 4th. So you will have how many marks? 1, 2, 3 maximum marks. Yeah, you'll have a lot of marks. Just guys, this is very easy. And I know you guys got it right because most of the answers, most definitely, they are correct. Yes. So let's move on to the next question. So the next question, we have 7. Then we have 5 over 2 multiply by 2, 1 over 7. And then you know that we must make them our improper fractions before anything else. Right. So we'll have our 2 multiplied by 7 plus 1. And that will be 15 over, we keep our denominators. Our denominators do not change, right? We keep our denominators, which is 2. And then we'll multiply by 7, multiply by, this is 1 right here. 7 multiplied by 2 plus 1 equals to 15 again over 7. So here, guys, we will multiply this as usual. We will say 15 multiplied by 15. It will give us 15 multiplied by 15. And then we'll have 2 multiplied by 7, which is 225 and over 14. So 2 multiplied by 7 is 14, and 15 multiplied by 15 equals to 225. Okay, guys. In this case, we must also find our highest common factor, right? So do we have a highest common factor for 225 and 14? Do we have it? Is there a number that goes the highest number? What is the highest number that goes into 225 and 14? What is that particular number? And that particular number must be below 14 because our lowest number is 14, right? And if there's no number, just say no number, or you can't find it. If there's no number, there's no number. And then it means we must just make it our mixed fraction, and that will be that, full stop. Now, so what is the highest common factor? Is there a highest common factor for those two numbers right here? Can we find it? Yes or no? Let's check. No number. No number. No number. No number. So by the way, I see someone saying we missed number 7. So guys, number 6, we did number 6, which is negative 31 over 4 multiplied by negative 10 over 62. So number 7 is the same thing. It's negative 5 over 1 multiplied by negative 5 over 6. The same method you used to multiply number 6 is the very same method you will use to multiply number 7. So number 7, you will have your negative 5 multiplied by negative 5, which will give you a positive answer. And your positive answer will be 25. And you will have your 1 multiplied by 6, which will give you 6. Right. So the very same method we used for number 6 is the very same method for number 7. Right. So let's finish this one right here. So highest common factor, no highest common factor for this one right here. So let's do this then. How many times does 200 and we are still here. How many times does 214 goes into 225? How many times? Obviously, we'll say 225 divided by 14, and your answer will be 16. 225 divided by 14, your answer will be 16, which is 16. So we'll say again 16 multiply by 14, which is 224, and then we'll have our 225 minus 224 our remaining answer will be 1. So how many times does 14 goes into 225? It goes, okay, let's write our mixed equation right here. Let's hope it fits. We'll have 16. And what is the remaining number? The remaining number is this one right here. It's 1. It's 1 over, this is not 7, it's 1. It's 1. We'll have 1 of, we keep our denominators. So since we keep our denominators, then it will obviously be 14. And that's our final answer. Right. So let's go to today's work. Now we are done with our corrections and everything. And guys, number 9 is the same method we used with this one right here, because this one is our number 8. Number 9, you use the very same method. And if you can't find your highest common factor, if there is no highest common factor, guys, and there's also this website where you can just Google fraction calculator, and you will find a fraction calculator. So whenever you are done with your fractions, you can just go to that website and recheck your work, verify your work if you are correct or not. It really helps with that. Whether just do it on your own, when you are done, go to that website and check your work. You can just also give yourself random fractions and go to that website to check. Name. All right, so let's go to today's lesson. So today's lesson, we are done with our fractions. We are done with our home activity, our corrections. So now, guys, the new topic for the day is dividing fractions. You remember we are done with multiplying, with adding our fractions, subtracting our fractions, and multiplying our fractions. So today we will be dividing our fractions. Now, so I have 2 examples here for you guys, and step by step with different colors, right? So example number 1, we have, here's the example number for number 1. We have 1 of 5th divide by 3 of 10th. Name. So basically it's 1 over 5 divide by 3 over 10. So you can't just go to your calculator and what's this? Just do it. You must do it step by step. So the first step that you need to do is to swap, right? You will swap the second fraction, the last fraction. And our last fraction was 3 over 10. So you need to swap that 3 over 10. And when you do swap it, it's going to be 10 over 3. Right, and then you will have your multiplication sign right there. You see that, right? You swap and then you insert your multiplication. So the new fractions will be 1 over 5. Here's the second step right here, will be 1 over 5 multiplied by 10 over 3. That's your new fractions that you will work on. Right, so now you are done simplifying, swapping your fractions. You swap the last fraction, right? Okay, so now we must simplify. So when we do simplify, you remember we check the opposite numbers. So in this case, our opposite numbers is 5 and 10. You see right here. And then we also have 1 and 3. So what is the highest common factor for 5 and 10? And that number must be below 5, because 5 is our lowest number. So we'll have 5 divided by 5 because our highest common factor is 5. HCF equals to 5. So our highest common factor is 5, right? So 5 divided by 5, it's how much? 1 here, right here. And our 1, we keep it like that because we can't simplify. There's no highest common factor for 1 and 3. It's 1. And when you say 1 divided by 1, it's 1. It's 1, so it won't change, right? So right now we'll deal with our 10 and 5. We'll just say 5 divided by 5, here's it. We'll have 1, and then 10 divided by 5, we will have 2. So here's our new fraction after simplifying it, right? And then after this, then we will do it as normal, the way you are used to. By what? By just saying 1 multiply by 2 equals to 2, correct. And then the second one will say 1 multiply by 3, and you will have your 3. Okay, so this is our final answer. So our final answer will be 2/3. This is our final answer. So for our next example is number B, colored in blue. So our number B, we have 3/4 divided by 7/8 divide by 2, right? And then this 2 right here, oh, sorry. Okay, so when we have 2, you remember when you have 2 just like that, it means it's 2/1. You remember when we are doing our multiplications, right? When you have 3 multiply by 3 or divide by 3, that's 3/1, right? So here it says divide by 2, that will be our 2/1. Right here, it will be 2/1. So our second step, we need to swap. When we swap, then we did swap those numbers. Let's do it together. We did swap the second number and the last number. So we will have 3/4 multiply by 8/7 multiply by 1/2. You can see that, right? So this is our new fractions now swapped, right? And then we'll have our multiplication sign. And then the second step is to simplify. So when we do simplify, we check the opposite numbers, right? So when we do check the opposite numbers, we have 8 and 2. And the highest common factor for 8 and 2, it's, yes, it is 2. So we'll have 2 divided by 2 just right here. And then we'll also have 8 divided by 2, which will give us 4. And 2 divided by 2, it will give us 1. And then 8 divided by 2, it will give us 4. And then we are done. We are moving to the next step. The next step, again, we can see that we can also simplify again, right? So which ones are we simplifying this time? We can simplify this new number, which is our 4, and this 4 right here. You can see that, right? Okay, let me erase it because I've cleared everything. Okay. All right. So yeah, we'll say 4 divided by 4 will be 1, and then again we'll have our 4 divided by 4 here will be equals to 1. So here's our new fraction. So our new fraction will be 3/1 multiply by 1 over 7 multiply by 1 over 1. So in this case, we'll say obviously 3 multiply by 1 multiply by 1, and that gives us 3. And then we'll have 1 multiply by 7 multiply by 1, which will give us 7. All right, so we are done with division, and we'll have an activity based on this division. And guys, if you need more explanation, let me erase this so we can see clearly now. Let's erase. Let's erase right here. Okay, so right now you can see everything. You can recap. And the thing you must remember about dividing fractions, you need to swap. It's very important. And you need to simplify. That is very important. And the last step is most definitely multiplying them. And then you will have your final answer. And to verify your answer, if it's correct or not, it's not a bad thing to use your calculator. Just use a calculator after doing all the steps, and then to check your answer. You can also use that website where they calculate fractions. Just say fraction calculator, and then you'll get the website name. I will give you the website. I think I have it, but I'll give you the website hopefully before the end of the lesson, and I will send it via your chats name. Okay, so we've came to the last step of our activity. Guys, again, I'm repeating myself again. Don't forget to send your home activity. I gave you my email yesterday so that I can mark it and give it to you back. Give you feedback and mark your work. Okay, so the home activity for today will be exercise 4. You'll do the following calculations. You will do all of them, including this one I typed down here. You see, I typed this fraction down here. You can also include this one right here. And again, one next slide will be, okay, guys, and again, when you are doing your division, and you have a mixed fraction like this one right here, you see we also have a mixed fraction like this one again, like here. You will treat it the same way we did with our multiplication. You know, you will have your 6 multiplied by 2 plus 1, and that will give you 6 multiplied by 2 plus 1, it's 13. So I'm giving you an answer for number C. So you will have 13 over 6. And they say divide by 4. You will have 13 over 6, and you'll also have 4 over 1 before you can swap. Please don't forget, you see we have a lot of whole numbers right here. Don't forget it's that particular number over 1. Right, and don't forget to swap. And after swapping, don't forget to simplify. After simplification, don't forget to multiply. Guys, you can take a screenshot, but I have uploaded the slides. Take a screenshot so that you can just access it anytime. Do your work, please, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. So for the next lesson, guys, we'll be doing squares, cubes, square roots of fractions. So after doing your home activity, just check this out. This is the example that I made for you guys. Just check this topic out. Squares, square cubes, and square roots and common fractions. Squares, cubes, square roots of common fractions. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Thank you so much. I will see you guys again tomorrow, 10 o'clock. Right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I will see you tomorrow. Tanisha, we didn't play the game today. I thought we had a lot of work. So I saved the game for Friday. So Friday, most definitely be here. We'll play the game again. I know you missed the game, or maybe tomorrow as a surprise. Who knows? Enjoy your day, guys. Bye bye.